This is the Brewers POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Milwaukee Brewers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Many opportunities in this one, but they fall short today against the Cleveland Guardians. Today's final 4-2 as the Brewers do at least secure the series win against those Guardians today as they fall to 45-26 now on this season. Hello, everyone. Welcome in to the Locked On Brewers POSTCAST. As always, I'm your host. My name is Brandon Sneide. You can follow me over on Twitter at Brandon_Sneide. Thank you, as always, for making Locked On Brewers your first listen each and every single day. Thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. Many missed opportunities for the Brewers in this one. We'll talk about that. Shane Drohan got the start for the Brew Crew. We'll talk about his numbers. We'll dive into the box score in today's 4-2 loss. Of course, we'll get into the turning point, the Locked On Brewers POSTCAST player of the game, and your thoughts, your reactions. We'll see if you guys are frustrated today. The Brewers do get the series victory. They take 2 out of 3 against the Phillies and 2 out of 3 against the Cleveland Guardians. I will take that all day long. If you had told me that coming back to American Family Field, that's what the results would be, I would have taken it. So I think it was a successful homestand for the Brewers as they finish at 4-2. So let's get into it. Of course, we begin with your scoring summary in this one as Shane Drohan was on the mound for the Brewers. And the Brewers are, again, the first team jumping on the board here. Messiak on the mound for the Guardians. And in the bottom half of the second inning, a Vaughn walk, Jake Bauers single, then Gary Sanchez would bring 1 run in with an RBI single to center field. So after 2 hits and a run scored, the Brewers would give Shane Drohan a 1-0 advantage. However, that wouldn't last very long. Just one batter later in the top half of the third inning, David Fry would homer to center field 380 feet, making it a 1-1 ball game. You got to go back down to the 4th inning now where the Milwaukee Brewers would get back on the board. Another leadoff walk for the Brewers, a Perkins double to left field. Runners on second and third. Cooper Pratt in a big spot, a sac fly out there to center field. That would plate Gary Sanchez. A really good at-bat, I think, from Cooper Pratt in that one. 1 hit, 1 run in the bottom half of the 4th would give the Brewers a 2-1 advantage as we headed to the 5th inning where there would both teams 3 up, 3 down in this one. And then the top half of the 6th inning with the Brewers up 2-1, Joe Kunal would come in for Shane Drohan, who would just go 5 innings of this one, allow 1 earned run. He would allow a solo homer to right field for Manzardo, 372 feet. That would tie the ball game at 2 apiece in this one. And unfortunately, we go to the 7th inning, and that is our turning point in the ball game as the Brewers fall to the Guardians by today's final 4-2.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
So we begin, this is going to stretch over a couple of innings here. We begin in the top half of the 7th inning. Another solo home run against Grant Anderson in this one in the top half of the 7th inning. A 398-foot shot made it 3-2. Cleveland would jump out in front, and they would, unfortunately, not be done. A couple of walks in this one, 3 walks to be exact, and then Schneemann would finally score on a wild pitch as Drohan would come in for Grant Anderson in the top half of the 7th. So when the Guardians already up 3-2 with the bases loaded, a wild pitch for Drohan would plate it 4-2. The Guardians would take the 4-2 lead into the bottom half of the 7th inning. And man, oh man, we're going to keep stretching out the turning point in this one because the Brewers had chances in both the bottom half of the 7th inning and the bottom half of the 8th inning. Bases loaded in both of those innings for the Milwaukee Brewers, and guys who are at the plate that you wanted to be up at the plate. Andrew Vaughn would come up with the bases loaded. He would work a good hitter's count in this one, but ultimately would ground out to shortstop with the bases loaded with 2 outs, and that would strand the bases loaded in the 7th inning at the bottom half of the 7th inning. And the same thing for the Brewers in the bottom half of the 8th inning. They would load the bases. You had a Jake Bauers walk. You had a Cooper Pratt single. William Contreras, who got the day off for most part of this game, he did have a pinch hit appearance. He would also walk. So you had the bases loaded with Christian Yelich up at the plate. Again, things that you would absolutely sign up for if I told you what was going on prior to the game, and that would be exactly what you would sign up for with your best hitters up at the plate. And Christian Yelich would strike out on 4 pitches in the bottom half of the 8th inning, and the Brewers in back-to-back innings would leave the bases loaded, leaving just in those 2 innings, just the 7th and the 8th inning, leaving 6 guys stranded on base. Not a recipe for success for the Brewers, and not much for them in the bottom half of the 9th inning as well. They did have a walk in there from Andrew Vaughn, but that would be all the Brewers would get in the bottom half of the 9th inning as they fall in the series finale, today's final 4-2. However, the good news is that a couple things. It looks like Brandon Sneide avoided any kind of serious injury. We talked a little bit about that on last night's show after exiting with a hamstring cramp. But you take 2 out of 3 against the Cleveland Guardians, a first-place team. You take 2 out of 3 against the hottest team in baseball since Don Mattingly has taken over for the Philadelphia Phillies. You won 2 out of 3 in that one. So that is the good news. Let's dive into the box score in tonight's ball game. The Brewers, not a ton of offense compared to what we saw a night before. Just 5 hits for Milwaukee over those 2 runs scored. And again, Cooper Pratt had one of them. Blake Perkins was 1 for 3. He had the double. Gary Sanchez had the RBI single. He was 1 for 3. Jake Bauers was 1 for 4. And Christian Yelich, your other hit in the ball game, he was also 1 for 4. The story of this game for me, though, and we'll talk a little bit more about Shane Drohan. The story for me in this one was the guys with runners in scoring position and left on base. A dozen guys left on base for the Milwaukee Brewers. 12 left on base. 1 for 12 with runners in scoring position. That's the difference in the ball game, because on the other side of things, for the Cleveland Guardians, they were 0 for 12 with runners in scoring position and also left 11 guys stranded on base. If the Brewers had 1 or 2 extra hits with runners in scoring position in this one, they would cruise on, in my opinion, for a victory. But nonetheless, that to me is the story of the ball game. Just unable to come through when it comes to with runners in scoring position. So not an ideal game today from the Brewers with those guys on base, and those things are going to tend to happen here and there. We saw them the other night go 6 for 11 with runners in scoring position. Tonight, just not the case. 1 for 12. I did mention Shane Drohan got the start on the mound. Not the sharpest start we've seen from Shane Drohan, but man, I'll take 5 innings of work, 3 hits and 1 earned run all day long, right? I will take that all day long. The one thing I will say that I would like to see him clean up is the walks, right? He had 3 walks to go along with 3 strikeouts, but for me, that's too many free guys on the base pass. That's why his pitch count all the way up to 91 and only 5 innings of work. But that was, I thought, a pretty decent performance from Shane Drohan on the mound for the Milwaukee Brewers. They'll get Jacob Mizorowski tomorrow off an extra day of rest. So Joe Kunal also making an appearance in this one. As I mentioned, he gave up a solo home run, the game-tying solo home run, and then Grant Anderson coming in after him and giving up the 2 runs that would cross the plate. Drew Rom also being responsible for one of those, although that was an inherited runner with the wild pitch. And then Craig Yoho in the top half of the 9th inning for the Brewers, shutting things down. 2 strikeouts, a clean top half of the 9th, did allow 1 hit, but a good performance, I think, for Craig Yoho out of the bullpen for the Brewers, but ultimately not enough as they fall in the series finale. Your final 4-2. The Brewers still 45-27 on the season. So again, back-to-back series victories after returning back from Vegas and Colorado. I do think it was a successful road trip, but I'm curious what homestand is what I should say, but I'm curious as to how you all feel about the Brewers falling to the Guardians 4-2, although they take 2 out of 3. We'll dive into your thoughts, your reactions, some of your frustrations, some of your questions. Quinn Priester news we'll discuss coming up on the other side of the break, as well as get into the Locked On Brewers postcast player of the game coming up next on the Locked On Brewers postcast. Today's show is brought to you by KALSHI. Now you can trade every game over on KALSHI as baseball season is officially here. And right now, the Brewers are trading at 48% right now on KALSHI in to beat the Atlanta Braves in Game 1 on Friday. So right now, with Jacob Mizorowski on the mound, if you trade $100, you can net yourself almost $200 because right now they are trading at a probability rate of 48% to beat the Atlanta Braves in Game 1 on KALSHI. You're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house and its probability changes. You can buy in and out of your position for a limited time. Download the KALSHI app and use code LOCKEDON to get $10 when you trade 10. KALSHI. 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 Trade on anything. You must be 18 years or older. Restrictions and eligibility requirements do apply. Event contracting trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see kalshi.com/regulatory. Today's Locked On Brewers postcast is also brought to you by Odoo. Running a business shouldn't feel like you're trying to connect a bunch of systems that were never designed to work together. One app for accounting, another for inventory, another for sales, and somehow none of them simply talk to each other. That's where Odoo comes in. Odoo is an all-in-one business management software that brings every part of your business together in a powerful platform. From sales and accounting to inventory and marketing, everything works in one place, helping your team move faster, stay organized, and focused on growing the business instead of managing the software. The best organizations know that success isn't just about talent. Just ask the Milwaukee Brewers. It's about having everyone work together toward the same goal, and that's true in sports. It's true in Milwaukee, and it's just like running a business. Great organizations win because operations simply matter, and that's why you should get Odoo. Try for free today at odoo.com/lockedon. Once again, that's odoo.com/lockedon, and get yourself started today. Today's show is also brought to you by Proton. Have you ever noticed how within the second you search for something online, ads with the exact thing start following you everywhere? Or maybe you're traveling, trying to access a website, stream a game, or watch content you don't normally use at home, and suddenly you're hit with a message. This content isn't available in your region. That's why more and more people are turning to Proton VPN. Proton VPN is a secure VPN service designed for people who want more privacy, more security, more control over how they experience the internet. It helps keep your online activity private, protects your data on public Wi-Fi, and gives you access to the internet the way it should work: open, secure, and on your terms. Unlike most VPNs, Proton is backed by strong European privacy laws, has a strict, independently verified no logs policy, and is built by a company focused on protecting users, not tracking them. In baseball, we spend a lot of time about gaining an edge and controlling what you can't control. The same idea applies online. Having the right tools can make a huge difference in your day-to-day experience. When I'm traveling, I'm constantly connecting to different Wi-Fi networks. You don't always know who's on those networks or how secure they are. So having that extra layer of protection is something that makes me feel a lot more comfortable, certainly while I'm out and about traveling. It's easy to get started right now. Proton VPN is offering our listeners 70% off a 2-year plan when you go to protonvpn.com/lockedonmlb. That's protonvpn.com/lockedonmlb for 70% off your first 2-year plan. That's protonvpn.com/lockedonmlb. Thank you for making Locked On Brewers your first listen of the day. Thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. A tough one, a frustrating loss tonight for the Milwaukee Brewers. They fall in Game 3 of the 3-game series against Cleveland at American Family Field. Your final tonight, 4-2, 45-27 on this season. The Brewers wrap up their homestand at American Family Field, an overall record there over the last 6 games of 4-2, 2 against the Phillies, 2 against the Cleveland Guardians. So overall, I do think it was a successful homestand. And before we get into your thoughts, your reactions, some of your frustrations, some of your questions, let's dive into it. Your Locked On Brewers postcast player of the game.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
Kind of touch base on this a little bit when we went into the box score in this one, but I'm going with Shane Drohan in this one. I thought Shane Drohan gave the Brewers every opportunity to win this ball game, and I understand Parker Messick is a good pitcher on the other side of the bump for the Cleveland Guardians, and he proved for that to be true in today's game. But I thought Shane Drohan, 5 innings of work, wasn't his sharpest game. There's no question about it. Wasn't his sharpest game of the season, but 5 innings of work, just 1 earned run. I will take that all day for Shane Drohan on the mound for the Brewers. So he gets my mentions as the Locked On Brewers postcast player of the game. Again, we kind of talked a little bit about it, but let's dive into the things you'll be talking about first, and then we'll get into your thoughts, your reactions, and your frustrations.
This is what you'll be talking about.
If I had told you guys that on Friday, when Jacob Mizrowski was getting ready to take the mound against the Philadelphia Phillies, that the Brewers would go 4-2 over their next 6 games at American Family Field. A question for you. Would you take that? Would you sign up if those were the results? If I guaranteed you those results on Friday before Jacob Misiorowski took the mound against a red-hot Philadelphia Phillies team, one of the best teams in baseball since was the best team in baseball since Don Mattingly had taken over coming into that series. They had won 7 of their last 9. It was a really hot Philadelphia Phillies team. And would you have taken it if I told you that the Brewers were going to win 2 out of 3 against the Cleveland Guardians? Now, they're ahead of the Chicago White Sox, barely in the AL Central standings, but nonetheless, it's a first-place team coming to American Family Field. An uncommon opponent, obviously. We don't play Cleveland a ton. So, obviously they were dealing with some injuries as well. No Jose Ramirez in this one. But nonetheless, I do think this was a very successful homestand for the Milwaukee Brewers on the back end of going out to Colorado and Vegas, where they also went 4-2. And they just continue to win series like that. That right now is what my main concern is. I am still scoreboard watching. I'm paying attention to what the other teams in the National League Central Division are doing. But the Milwaukee Brewers, you take away that series against Vegas, they continue to win series. They tied against San Francisco. They took 2 out of 3 against Houston. They swept the St. Louis Cardinals. You got to go all the way back to, let's find out what day this is, late May, for the last time this team had lost the series prior to that one in Vegas. So continuing to stack series victories, that's all you can ask for right now. And again, not so great news when it comes to some of the injury reports that we've gotten today. We'll dive into some of that. But I thought overall for the Brewers, what their goal was coming into American Family Field against 2 really good teams, one really, really hot team, and then obviously the Cleveland Guardians, who weren't really necessarily hot, but still a first-place team. I think getting a series victory against both of those, protecting American Family Field, was really important today for the Brewers. I should say the last couple of days for the Milwaukee Brewers as they take 2 out of 3. Let's get into some of your thoughts, your reactions, your frustrations. As Everydayer Cody says, when you have back-to-back innings with the bases loaded and don't produce, too mad to say what I really feel. Just annoying, frustrating, just one of those that I chalk today up as a frustrating loss. I'm not necessarily, I'm mad. I'm mad anytime the Brewers lose, but I was frustrated. When you have Andrew Vaughn and Christian Yelich with the bases loaded, with an opportunity to at least tie or take the lead, like, man, you just got to capitalize on those, especially when they offer it to you in back-to-back innings, right? It wasn't like it happened in the first inning, then didn't happen till, let's say, the 5th. Like, back-to-back innings, the Brewers had an opportunity and just failed. Mason, who cares about this game? Tough loss, but we got to have all our eyes on the Braves right now. It will be a great series, no doubt about, against the Atlanta Braves as they travel down there, as Jacob Misiorowski would take the mound on Friday. Mason also plugs in. Can you speak briefly on your reaction to the Quinn Priester news? Do you think it's a positive? I think it's a positive in the sense that hopefully they have it figured out, right? And he is having the surgery to cure that thoracic nerve syndrome that he's been battling really since the winter months, and has now decided to obviously opt in to having surgery, an 8 to 10 month recovery for Quinn Priester. My heart hurts for the person and for the player, because Quinn Priester, I know Freddie Peralta got a lot of the attention last year for the Brewers. At one point, the Brewers won 19 straight games that Quinn Priester either started or made an appearance, because remember, they were putting out openers for Quinn Priester last year. So I hurt for Quinn, obviously for the person, because of, the surgery and going through the mental struggles that he potentially could be going through and trying to rehab back, but also for the player, man, because he had rejuvenated his career here in Milwaukee, right? You could make the case. I still think he was the best pitcher for the Brewers a year ago, during that unforgettable 97 win season. I think he was the best pitcher for the Brewers, and he rejuvenated his career, right? He was a top pick at one point. He couldn't make it work in Pittsburgh, couldn't make it work in Boston. He finds a home here in Milwaukee, and then boom, he's hit with this. So I feel for Quinn in that regard. Kent over on YouTube says, bullpen not good enough, but that offense was horrible this game. Left too many guys on base. Yeah, not a great bullpen day. Joe Kunal driving me nuts a little bit. Just throw strikes. 21 pitches Kunal thrown, only 10 of them landing for strikes. It's just come into the ball game. If you're coming out of the bullpen, at least throw the ball in the zone. Let your defense work behind you, right? Just let your defense work. Drew Rom with a wild pitch, Grant Anderson with a homer. So it wasn't great, but you only had 5 hits for the Brewers. You only scored 2 runs. So the bullpen, even if they were perfect, they still might lose this ball game. Wisco Sport Guy over on YouTube says, get all the crap with runners in scoring position sucks, but we need to stop acting like we are a bad team. Like we won the series. Yes, we did win the series. And that's kind of what I alluded to in the things you'll be talking about tomorrow. I have no complaints. I'm frustrated. I'm annoyed because you're going to have stinkers like this, but man, you got the bases loaded in back-to-back innings. Like, it just felt like such a moment that the Brewers could have capitalized on. D.A. Morton, an everydayer on YouTube, says, what am I watching today? Bad bullpen going like 1 for 5 with runners in scoring position. Oof. Yeah. Not great. 1 for 12 to be exact, but not to correct you, D.A. Morton. But yeah, not great. Wolf is about right. John over on YouTube says, Brewers ran out of pitchers. Pratt did well, though. Pratt did do well. Yeah. He had another hit in this ball game. His average up to 333, 1 for 2 in the ball game, had a sac fly, run batted in for him as well. So he has 2 runs batted in 3 games that we've seen from Cooper Pratt. He also had a walk. So getting on base, getting hits, and just continues to build that confidence, I think, hopefully going forward for Cooper Pratt. ETN over on YouTube says, twice with the bases loaded and one of our best hitters. We just have to do better. I blame way more of our offense than our pitching staff. I do as well. 100% agree with that. Again, 4 runs, not bad, right? Between Shane Drohan, Joe Kunal, Grant Anderson, Drew Rahm, and Craig Yoho. I would, again, if you tell me that and you don't give me any other details and you say only 4 runs are going to cross, I'm going to assume that the Brewers won that game and that you would have 4 bullpen appearances out of Cleveland in this game. I would assume the Brewers probably won that game. Like, quite frankly, I probably would have. Karen, everydayer over on YouTube, says, could Drohan have pitched longer? Yes and no. I think right now he was just not in the zone enough today, Karen, to answer your question. Not in the zone enough for me to feel comfortable going beyond the 91 pitches, that he allowed in this game. And then the 3 walks, I think that was kind of the one thing. And so I have no issues with Pat Murphy going to the bullpen in this game. And again, you've used some bullpen arms in this series, right? They win game 1, 2-1. So you had some guys you also pitched in those high leverage moments. So I didn't necessarily mind Shane Drohan being pulled. Again, 5 innings of work, 1 earned run. Thought it was great. Everydayer James says, Brandon, I have a question for you. Game 7 of the World Series. If you had to start one pitcher with everything on the line, who do you pick, the Miz or Woody in their prime? And this one, James, is for me a landslide. Jacob Mizorowski, and I don't know if it's close. I love Brandon Woodruff. Love everything about Brandon Woodruff. But Jacob Mizorowski, as I said before, is very likely the best Brewers pitcher any of us have seen and may ever see, quite frankly. It would not shock me if that's necessarily the case going forward. So to answer your question, James, without a question, for me, it is Jacob Mizorowski. I'm curious who you would take, James. You can let me know in the comment box below, as that will conclude the Locked On Brewers postcast show today as they lose 4-2 to the Cleveland Guardians. Still take 4 out of 6 on the 6-game homestand. They are 45-27 on the season. So still good things for the Milwaukee Brewers. They'll take on the Atlanta Braves beginning tomorrow. And speaking of James's question, Jacob Mizorowski on the mound for our Brew Crew. Just a quick show note. You guys are going to hate me for a little bit, but that's okay. No Brewers postcast tomorrow through Sunday. And I apologize. I'm sorry. I'm sure some of you will miss me. Some of you might be celebrating and not missing me. I will be heading out to Minnesota for a wedding that I will be attending. So we will not be doing any Brewers postcast. I will be paying attention. You betcha. I'll have the phone at the wedding with the Brewer game on, but unfortunately I will not be able to partake in the postcast shows. We'll pick things back up when I return next week. So my apologies to all of you. I wish I could, but just was unable to make it work due to the game times starting and obviously with the activities going on for the wedding. So my apologies to all of you. So we'll pick things back up next week. I will be checking in. I'll be making sure, hopefully the Brewers get a victory. Who knows? We might have to do an impromptu, we'll see what happens with Jacob Mizorowski. If it's another historic performance, we might just have to find a way to go live and celebrate it. But I appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. Thank you for making Locked On Brewers your first listen each and every single day. Thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. As always, free and available wherever you guys get audio podcasts, Apple, Google, Spotify, Amazon. We are also free and available over on YouTube. So just make sure you are subscribed, hit the thumbs up, hit the notification bell, always get notified when we go live. And I'm sorry, we'll go live next week. No postcast shows this weekend as I will be out of town, but my thanks to all of you. Thank you guys for tuning in. Couldn't do the show without any of you. And as always, win or lose, frustrating one today, 1 for 12 with runners in scoring position, 12 guys stranded on base. It's a frustrating loss. However, the Brewers do get a series victory. They have a winning homestand, so lots to be proud of, lots to be happy about. And as always, win or lose, it is always go Brewers. Have a good one, everyone. Talk to you again soon. See you.